What happened to Henry McCabe? It's a question that has haunted his family, friends and investigators for nearly a decade. A hard-working man, a loving father, and a trusted friend, Henry McCabe disappeared under mysterious circumstances on Labor Day 2015. But the most disturbing part of this case, a voicemail that he left behind, filled with haunting, unexplainable sounds that have baffled police and chilled even the most seasoned true crime followers. Today, we're diving deep into the bizarre and unsettling disappearance of Henry McCabe. We'll explore the key details of the case, dissect that chilling voicemail, and look at the theories, both logical and supernatural, that might explain what really happened that fateful night. Henry McCabe was a 32-year-old Liberian immigrant living in Mounds View, Minnesota, with his wife, Henry McCabe, and their 2 young children. He worked as a Minnesota Department of Revenue auditor and was well known within the local Liberian community for his kindness and work ethic. But like many, Henry was struggling. According to close friends and family, he had been facing personal and financial issues in the months leading up to his disappearance. He had recently been suspended from his job, and his marriage was reportedly going through a difficult phase. Despite these struggles, Henry remained a devoted father and active community member. His disappearance on September 7, 2015, left his friends and family in shock and led to a mystery that still remains unsolved today. The night Henry disappeared began like many others. It was the end of Labor Day weekend, September 6, 2015, and Henry had gone out with 2 friends, William Kennedy and Calvin Johnson. The 3 men spent the evening at the Povlitsky's bar in Spring Lake Park, enjoying drinks in each other's company. At around 1:40 a.m., William Kennedy offered to drive Henry home. Henry had been drinking and was in no condition to drive himself. But instead of taking him directly home, William claims Henry asked to be dropped off at a gas station in Fridley, about 6 miles from his house. William did as Henry requested, and that's the last confirmed sighting of Henry McCabe. William Kennedy and Calvin Johnson both told police that they assumed Henry had planned to get a ride home from there. But as time passed, Henry never returned home. And by the next morning, he was officially reported missing. At around 2:28 a.m. on the same night, Henry's wife, Henry McCabe, who was out of state at the time, received a voicemail from Henry's phone. What she heard was deeply unsettling. The voicemail lasts approximately 2 minutes and is filled with strange, disturbing sounds. In the recording, you can hear Henry making groaning and moaning noises, which some have interpreted as cries of pain. At one point, there's a sound that almost resembles growling or even a low roar. It's unlike anything you'd expect to hear from a missing persons case. What makes the voicemail even stranger is the abrupt end. After a series of unintelligible sounds, the call cuts off with a single phrase that, according to some interpretations, sounds like "Stop it! Who or what was Henry McCabe speaking to?" And why did the voicemail end so suddenly? Was he in danger? Was he experiencing a medical emergency? Or could there be a more sinister explanation? After Henry was reported missing, local authorities, along with family and friends, launched a massive search effort. They scoured the area where he was last seen, questioned everyone involved, and even brought in dive teams to search nearby bodies of water. But days turned into weeks, and weeks into months, with no trace of Henry. Police were left with very few clues. William Kennedy and Calvin Johnson were questioned, but neither were considered suspects. Henry's phone pinged from cell towers in the New Brighton and Fridley area, but the exact location where the voicemail was sent from remained unclear. For nearly 2 months, the case went cold. No one knew where Henry was or what had happened to him that night. Then on November 2nd, 2015, almost 2 months after Henry went missing, a group of kayakers made a gruesome discovery. Floating in Rush Lake, just 2 miles from where Henry was last seen, they found his body. The discovery only deepened the mystery. Henry's body showed no visible signs of trauma. His cause of death was eventually ruled as drowning, but this conclusion raised more questions than answers. How did Henry end up in Rush Lake, miles away from his last known location? And why were there no injuries or signs of foul play? Investigators could find no conclusive explanation for the disturbing voicemail or the events leading up to Henry's death. To this day, it remains unclear what happened in those early morning hours. Let's break down the theories. While Henry McCabe's death was ruled as an accidental drowning, there are several possible explanations. each more bizarre than the last. Theory 1. Foul play. Many of Henry's friends and family believe foul play was involved. After all, the voicemail sounded like he was in distress, and Henry's wife and brother have expressed doubts about the official ruling of accidental drowning. Some speculate that Henry could have been the victim of an assault or robbery gone wrong, but without evidence, this theory remains purely speculative. Theory 2. Suicide or a mental health crisis. There's also the possibility that Henry, facing financial and personal struggles, may have taken his own life. But this theory doesn't sit well with those who knew him. Henry had never expressed suicidal thoughts, and the bizarre nature of the voicemail doesn't align with a typical suicide case. Theory 3. The supernatural. Some true crime enthusiasts have proposed that something supernatural may have played a role. The growling noises on the voicemail and the unexplained circumstances have led to speculation about demonic possession or some other paranormal event. While far-fetched, this theory has gained traction in certain online communities. Theory 4. A medical emergency. Another possibility is that Henry suffered a medical emergency, like a seizure or delirium caused by alcohol or drugs. This could explain the strange sounds on the voicemail and why he may have wandered off into the lake. However, no drugs were found in his system, and his blood alcohol level wasn't high enough to suggest extreme intoxication. To this day, the mystery of Henry McCabe remains unsolved. What do you guys think happened to Henry McCabe? Let me know in the comments. And as always, stay safe and stay vigilant.